Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try, life keeps pushing you down? That your dreams are too far, your voice too small, and the world too big to care? But what if I told you one girl proved them all wrong? A girl who started with nothing but refused to surrender. Her name was Maya, and this is her story. A story of pain, courage, and destiny. A story that will remind you no dream is too impossible, and no heart is too small to rise again. So sit back, read, listen, and let her journey awaken the fighter inside you. Part 1. The beginning of a dream. Her name was Maya, a small-town girl with a big, impossible dream. She lived in a world where everyone told her what she couldn't do. You're not smart enough. You don't have money. Stay where you are. But deep inside, Maya had a voice that whispered, "You were born for more." Every morning before sunrise, she would climb the hill near her house. She would stand there, looking at the city lights far away, and imagine herself walking among those shining towers, wearing confidence like a crown. Her parents wanted her to take a safe path, a small job, a quiet life, and no dreams too big. But Maya's heart refused to settle. At night, she would open an old notebook and write her goals. Not one or two, but 100. Each goal written with trembling hands and burning hope. She wanted to build a life that mattered, to prove that even a girl with nothing could rise to everything. But life doesn't reward dreams easily. It tests them. And Maya's first test was about to begin. It was her final school year. Everyone else seemed happy, planning their college, their future, but Maya's family couldn't afford higher education. Her dream of going to the big city was slipping away like sand between her fingers. One night, as she sat under the dim lantern light, her father walked in silently. He placed a worn-out envelope on the table. Inside, just enough money for her bus ticket to the city. "Maya," he said softly, "I don't understand your dreams, but I can see the fire in your eyes. Go, and don't ever give up." That night, she couldn't sleep. Her heart raced between fear and faith. She didn't know what awaited her, but she knew what she was leaving behind. At sunrise, with her small backpack and a heart full of courage, she boarded the bus. The road stretched endlessly ahead. The sound of the engine mixed with her thoughts. This is the beginning of my story. Part 2. The City of Dreams and Shadows. The city was louder than she had imagined. Tall buildings touched the clouds. People rushed everywhere. No one cared who she was, and that was both her fear and her freedom. Maya rented a tiny room on the edge of the city. The walls were cracked, the nights were noisy, and the food barely enough. But for her, it was a palace of hope. She found a small job at a cafe, cleaning tables, serving tea, and watching the people she dreamed to become. Men and women in suits walked in confidently, talking about projects, meetings, success. Every night, Maya went home with tired legs, but her mind stayed awake with one question. How can I reach their world? Days turned into months. Rejections came one after another. She applied for scholarships, jobs, internships. Nothing worked. People laughed at her accent, her clothes, her simplicity. Once, a manager looked her in the eye and said, You should stop trying. People like you don't make it here." That night, Maya cried for hours. Her tears fell like rain on her open notebook, the same notebook where she had written her dreams. She almost tore it apart, but something stopped her. On one page, written in shaky handwriting, she read, "I will not give up no matter what." She closed her eyes and whispered, "I made a promise to myself, and I will keep it." From the next morning, she changed everything. She woke up an hour earlier. She read books in the cafe when no one was watching. She practiced English by talking to her reflection in the mirror. She smiled even when tired. People started noticing her determination. A customer once said, "You look like someone who won't stay here forever." She smiled and replied, "Maybe not, but I'll never forget where I started." Months later, when the cafe owner saw her discipline, he gave her a new role, helping in management. For the first time, she earned respect. It wasn't about money, it was about progress. Maya realized something powerful that day. Success doesn't arrive suddenly. It grows silently inside you each time you choose to keep going instead of giving up. And one evening, as she locked the cafe gate, she saw a stranger standing across the street, watching her with a calm, knowing smile. That moment would change her destiny forever. Part 3. The Stranger Who Changed Her Destiny. It was a cold evening. The city lights were just starting to glow. Maya sat on a park bench, holding her small notebook, her only friend left. She had written the same line over and over again. "I will not give up." But tonight, even those words felt heavy. Her shoes were torn. Her stomach was empty. And her dream, the dream of becoming a writer, was fading into the dark. She looked up at the cloudy sky and whispered, "Maybe this world just isn't meant for people like me." Then, from behind, came a gentle voice. "Is that your notebook?" Maya turned. A man stood there, old, calm, with silver hair and kind eyes. "Yes," she said softly. "It's just something I write in." "May I sit?" he asked. She nodded. They sat in silence for a while. Finally, the man spoke. "You look like someone who's been fighting for a long time." Maya smiled sadly. "I have, but maybe I've already lost." The man shook his head. "Lost? No. You're just in the middle of your story." "What do you mean?" she asked. He pointed at her notebook. "You see, every good story has dark chapters, moments when the hero wants to give up. But that's the moment when the story truly begins." Maya looked down. "What if the world never reads my story?" He smiled. "Then write it for yourself. Because sometimes destiny reads what the world doesn't." Those words hit her like light in the dark. She looked at him, speechless. The man stood up slowly. "I'll be leaving now, but remember this. Your pain is not your ending. It's your beginning." And with that, he walked away into the mist. Maya watched him go. She didn't even know his name, but she felt seen, alive again. That night, she opened her notebook and wrote, "This is not the end. This is the first page of my comeback." Part 4. The Rise of the Writer. The next morning, Maya woke up early. She had no money, no place to stay. But she had something stronger. Belief. She found an old library that opened at 9. It was warm inside, quiet, and full of hope. Every day she came there, she read, she wrote, she learned. Her stories were short at first, simple, honest, real. She wrote about pain, loss, hope, and courage. She wrote about people like her, dreamers who had fallen but refused to stay down. Weeks turned into months. Maya began posting her stories online, using a free computer at the library. At first, no one read them. Then one day, a comment appeared under her post. "Your words made me cry. Thank you." That single line changed everything. She realized her words mattered. Her voice could reach hearts, even when the world didn't know her name. She kept writing every single day, even when she was tired, even when she was hungry. She wrote. One story turned into 10. 10 turned into 100. Each one carried a piece of her soul. Slowly, her stories began spreading. People started sharing them. Maya didn't notice, but her name was beginning to appear in corners of the internet she never dreamed of. Then, one morning, she received an email. "Dear Maya, we are from The Light magazine. Your story, The Broken Wing, touched our hearts. We would love to publish it in our next issue." Maya froze. Her heart raced. Tears filled her eyes. For the first time, someone saw her not as a failure, but as a writer. She whispered to herself, "I did it. I actually did it." But little did she know, the road ahead was still full of storms. Part 5. The Storm Returns. Fame came quietly at first. A few articles, a few interviews. Then, suddenly, a wave. Everyone wanted to know the girl who wrote from the streets. Her story became an inspiration. But with the attention came pressure. Deadlines, critics, expectations. People wanted more stories, faster. But Maya wasn't a machine. She wrote from her soul, and her soul needed time. Soon, the same people who once praised her started complaining. "This new one isn't as good. She's losing her touch." Maya tried to ignore it, but the voices grew louder. Doubt crept in again. She stopped sleeping. She started pushing herself beyond limits, trying to please everyone. One night, she looked at the mirror. Her eyes were red. Her smile was gone. She whispered, "What happened to me?" In her attempt to become perfect, she had forgotten why she started writing in the first place. To heal, not to impress. That night, she opened her old notebook again, the one she carried in the park that evening, years ago. The first page still read, "I will not give up." Tears rolled down her face. She realized she was fighting the same battle again, but this time she had more to lose. She closed her eyes and said softly, "No more running, no more pretending. I'll write what my heart wants, not what the world expects." The next morning, she canceled all her upcoming projects. People called her crazy. But Maya felt free again. She returned to the same park where she once met the old man. The bench was empty, but she felt his words echo in the wind. "Your pain is not your ending, it's your beginning." And once again, Maya began to write. Part 6. The Letter She Never Expected. Months passed. Maya wrote quietly, away from fame, away from noise. Her stories grew deeper, her words wiser. She didn't care about likes or shares anymore. She cared about truth, and the truth in her words touched more people than ever before. One morning, while checking her mail, she saw an old envelope. It was yellowed with her name written in shaky handwriting. Inside was a small note. "Dear Maya, I read your latest story, and it brought tears to my eyes. You probably don't remember me, but years ago, I met you on a park bench. I told you, that your pain was your beginning. I was right. Today, I'm proud of the woman you've become. Keep writing, because your words are healing the world. With love, the stranger you once met. Maya's hands trembled. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She smiled, the kind of smile that comes from the soul. She looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you. You changed my life." Then she picked up her pen again and began writing her most powerful story yet, the story of the girl who never gave up. Part 7. The world finally listened. Maya's story, the girl who never gave up, spread like wildfire. Readers from all over the world shared it. Teachers read it to their students. Mothers told it to their children. People who had lost hope found courage again. Her words had become more than just sentences. They had become light. Maya was invited to speak at events, schools, and book fairs. She wasn't just a writer anymore. She was a voice of hope. But when she stood on stage for the first time, her hands shook. She looked at the thousands of faces waiting to hear her speak. For a moment, the old fear returned, the same fear she felt when no one believed in her. Then she took a deep breath and said, "Years ago, I sat on a park bench with nothing but a notebook. I thought I was invisible. But one stranger told me something that changed my life. He said, 'Your pain is not your ending. It's your beginning.' And he was right." The crowd went silent. Maya continued, her voice growing stronger with every word. "If you have a dream, no matter how far away it seems, keep fighting. Because sometimes the moment you feel like giving up is the moment right before everything changes." When she finished, the audience stood and applauded for minutes. Tears filled her eyes. For the first time, she truly understood the power of words. Maya had once written to heal herself. Now, she wrote to heal the world. Part 8. The Price of Success. Fame grew. Money followed. Opportunities came from every direction. Publishers called her the miracle writer. She was offered book deals, brand endorsements, even a movie based on her life. But deep inside, she felt something shifting. The noise was returning, the same noise she had once escaped. People around her started making decisions for her. Write this kind of story. Change that ending. Make it more dramatic. It'll sell better. Maya listened at first. Then slowly she started to feel lost again. One evening, she walked into her apartment and looked around. Everything looked perfect. Trophies, awards, money, but her heart felt empty. She sat at her desk and opened her old notebook again. It was the same one that had followed her through every storm. The first line still read, "I will not give up." She smiled sadly. "I didn't give up," she said to herself, "but maybe I gave in." The next morning, she made a decision. She canceled her movie deal. She stopped all paid promotions. She told her team she was taking a break to find herself again. The world was shocked. Some called her ungrateful. Some called her foolish. But Maya didn't care. She had learned that success without peace is just another form of failure. She packed her bags and left the city, disappearing quietly, just like the stranger once had. Part 9. The Fall and the Fight Back. For months, no one heard from Maya. People thought she had vanished forever. But in a small coastal village, far from cameras and fame, Maya was living differently. She taught writing to children at a local school. They called her Miss Maya, the Story Lady. She spent her mornings by the sea, writing in her notebook, and her nights under the stars, reading her favorite stories to the kids. One evening, a little girl named Rhea asked, "Miss Maya, why do you write every day?" Maya smiled. "Because every word we write is like a heartbeat, and when we stop writing, our dreams stop breathing." The girl nodded and said, "Then I'll write too, every single day." Maya laughed. In that small moment, she realized this was her real success. Not fame, not fortune, but the ability to inspire even one person to dream. Months later, a massive storm hit the coast. The school was damaged, the books destroyed. The children were scared. Maya worked day and night to rebuild it. When the media found out, the story spread again. The writer who returned to save a school, offers and donations poured in. But this time, Maya accepted help with gratitude, not guilt. She had learned how to balance humility and strength. She once wrote to prove herself. Now she wrote to serve others. Part 10. The final chapter, The Girl Who Never Gave Up. Years passed. Maya grew older, wiser, calmer. Her hair had silver strands now, just like the stranger who once changed her life. One morning, as she walked along the beach, she saw a young woman sitting alone, crying, holding a torn notebook. Maya smiled gently and walked toward her. "Is that your notebook?" she asked. The girl looked up, surprised. "Yes, but it doesn't matter. My dream is over." Maya sat beside her. She saw herself, years ago, in that girl's tired eyes. "No," Maya said softly, "your dream isn't over. You're just in the middle of your story." The girl frowned. "How do you know?" Maya smiled. "Because once someone told me the same thing." The girl looked at her notebook again, and a small spark of hope returned to her eyes. Maya stood up and said, "Remember this. Your pain is not your ending. It's your beginning." Then she turned and walked away, her heart full of peace. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Maya opened her notebook one last time. She wrote her final line. "I was the girl who never gave up, and now I am the woman who helped others do the same." She closed the notebook gently and whispered, "Thank you, life. You turned my pain into purpose." And with that, the waves whispered softly against the shore, carrying her story out into the world forever. A story written for every dreamer, every fighter, every soul who refuses to give up. If Maya's story touched your heart, don't just stop here. Let it remind you of your own power. Because one decision, one act of courage, can rewrite your entire story. Subscribe now for more Read and Listen English stories, where every word teaches you English and every story reminds you of your strength. This is English Boost, where learning meets transformation.